final guest of Super Bowl week, and he's a good one, Troy Polamalu. And you were just telling me you've never come and walked through Radio Row like this before.
I have not. It's pretty awesome to see all the radio stations set up, as well as all these celebrities walking around. It's pretty awesome.
So you played in the Super Bowl. You know that feeling. What did it feel like? I was just talking to Terrell Davis about this, to run out onto the field.
It's a very special feeling.
Did it feel different than a normal game? Like, it's got to be an amazing feeling.
Some did, some didn't, to be honest with you. And Detroit, it felt like just like another home game.
Yeah.
Dallas definitely felt like foreign territory. That's probably why we lost. But I think almost every game has its own unique identity, but Super Bowls for sure stand out.
You're a Pittsburgh Steeler, obviously, a Pittsburgh Steeler legend. What is it about being a Steeler that you guys have? It feels like a different legacy than other teams in the NFL. Did you kind of experience that immediately upon being drafted, or what do you guys do so well?
I felt when I was drafted to Pittsburgh a tremendous burden to carry on a legacy. And that legacy was definitely passed down through the locker room from the
culture mattered.
Absolutely. The culture was the center of that organization. And that being player-based of, Joe Green and Jack Lambert, but then you also knew that these guys didn't take crap from anybody.
Yeah.
So it was not only that we had to develop or continue that winning lifestyle or the winning culture, but also that we had to have a don't take no crap culture as well. So I think that we did a great job of doing that. We had our sort of enforcers, that James Harrison and who really carried on that kind of like, don't mess with me, Ike Taylor, Ryan Clark, and a lot of Chris Hope, a lot of great defenders from Joey Porter that really carried on that legacy.
What about coaching? Obviously, there haven't been very many coaches with the Pittsburgh Steelers. What was that like?
Well, I honestly, Coach LeBeau is
just a legend, right?
I mean, absolutely, he's a true legend of this game. Somebody who was part of the game, I think, longer than anybody's ever been part of this game outside of the ownership.
Yes.
Who's coached at every single level and has probably influenced more lives and players in this game than anybody. But I meant being able to play for him is really a once-in-a-lifetime experience and opportunity that I'll cherish forever.
How much of a base of knowledge he literally can't put anything in front of him that he hasn't seen before, but then he has the ability to communicate it to guys who are sometimes 60 years younger almost.
Absolutely. He really is like Coach Dad.
Yeah.
And that's what's great about it is when you have that sort of wisdom and when you have that sort of knowledge and that sort of personality, it supersedes the times.
Yeah.
It becomes classic, and I think that's what makes him a Hall of Fame player and coach, is that when you can put players in any generation, you can put any coach in any generation, they're able to reach anybody. That's what makes him special and unique.
Antonio Brown, obviously, they've had a lot of issues with him, and the locker room in Pittsburgh, it seemed like they tried to get him to buy in, and it didn't work. I'm sure this happened to you sometimes too. How frustrating is it as a guy who was trying to set that culture and that leadership to have guys who, for whatever reason, just can't quite buy in? And how do you try and make that happen so that no one player is bigger than the culture of an organization, if that makes sense?
Yeah. Well, I think it's definitely a gray area because you don't want to, you want to have players be able to express the best form of themselves within confinements, talking about Antonio, I was, one of the leaders on the team at the time that he was with the team, and I definitely feel a tremendous burden now,
Have you reached out to him at all?
Everybody's tried to really reach out to him.
Because you see some of the videos and everything else or the viral postings, and he's not being the best version of himself. So what have you tried to do?
Well, as a teammate to him, I definitely try to be a better brother to him, and honestly, I feel a responsibility for the way he's behaved, recently, not being able to reach him, while I was a teammate with him. Our locker room is very close. We definitely have a very close brotherhood from the previous players that I was teammates with, and we've all done our best to try to reach out to him. But he's lived a very, very, very tough life, and he, like many football players, and he's also can't trust anybody. So it's really hard for him, for people in his position, to really find help when anybody's either wanted something for him, needed something from him. And you see that with a lot of young players these days, that are kind of under this predicament of, man, like, who really wants what's best for me, or who wants what's best out of me?
Yeah.
And I think he's one of these examples.
We're talking to Troy Polamalu. Your sort of voice and your persona is very mild-mannered. You were ferocious on the football field. Where does that change come from? Where does that ferocity come from for you?
Honestly, I'm just passionate. I was a passionate football player. I love to play. Unfortunately, I guess you got to tackle people, and sometimes you got to, hustle and do these sort of things. I would approach ballet in the same way, and grace and beauty of whatever the sport required, or pool table, whatever it is. Football just happens to be a violent sport. If I was an MMA fighter, wouldn't be like I would be, taking pillows out there either.
What do you expect to happen in the game between the 49ers and we've been talking about it all week here, the Chiefs?
So honestly, I could talk to you about youth soccer, youth basketball.
Better. Are you coaching your kids?
I'm not coaching. I'm definitely watching a lot of their games and practices and whatnot. When I filmed the commercial with Patrick last summer,
yes,
I definitely felt.
What's he like?
He's an awesome person, really, really amazing individual, and a very special person. And you can tell that he's going to do something really special. Definitely had a feeling that one day he'll win multiple Super Bowls.
Right.
It's really awesome that he has this opportunity in only his second or third year to win one after his MVP season. So definitely rooting for him to win. And John Lynch is also a friend of mine, and I think what he's done for the San Francisco 49ers, developing that team culture, is something any football player can admire. Patrick's a great talent. And then, you have this a great team culture for the 49ers against each other. You
mentioned that you'd worked with Patrick Mahomes' Head & Shoulders commercial. You're here for Head & Shoulders. Mm-hmm. Your hair was a famous part of your overall brand. How's the hair holding up, and how's Head & Shoulders helped?
It's absolutely been holding up really well, thank God.
Yeah, you'd be in trouble if you started to go bald, right? That's a big hit to the wallet.
Like, he can only do radio calling interviews from now
right.
on. It's so with Patrick, it's always the old argument: offense wins games, defense wins championships. Yeah. I know that our defense didn't perform well in the Super Bowl that we lost, and we performed pretty well in the two that we won. But Patrick will be able to prove to us on Sunday that offense can win championships.
Outstanding stuff, my man. I know you got a busy schedule. Thanks for closing out the week for us, and good luck going forward.
Thank you very much.
Clay Travis here. Hope all of you are enjoying Fox Sports Radio on YouTube. Encourage you to like and subscribe to all of our videos to make sure you don't miss any of the excellence. Thanks, and enjoy.